Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Creativity. Naven here. Thanks for joining us tonight. I want to remind you that the live chat is up. So if you have a question or comment, please post it. Also, reminding you to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and like and share the video so that we can get the word out and get as many people joining Soul Creativity as possible. I'm really excited for today's guest, Beth Bando. Beth is an echo artist and she has so many interesting things to fill us in on. So we want to get right to the conversation. And again, please feel free to post comments or questions and we will get to those. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, Beth. I'm so excited. We had such a good conversation previously and interested in a lot of the same things, especially around story. So we will be getting to that. So I want to welcome you to the show. And maybe we should just start at the beginning and tell us how your journey to becoming an echo artist started.
How it all began. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Wonderful to be here with you. Um, there is something full circle that is happening, and that's what I'd like to talk with you about today. And of course, I love the circle, and we'll get to that in a little bit too. But I think the starting point is that I was an actress living in New York City. Uh, and there's a lot of different kinds of theater in New York, but I went through a period of time where every piece of theater that I was seeing was either violent or misogynistic. And I did not want to lend my voice, my breath, my life force energy to the telling of those stories. It's not why I was an actress. And I see such potential in the power of art to touch deeply the human experience. And I thought, well, that's not the human experience I want to touch. And that's an old story. And that old story, it's old. And it's been around for a long time. And I don't want to keep telling it. It's time for something new. But little did I know how important that theme was of a new story. So that's part of the full circle event. I didn't know if I would be able to continue being an actress. I knew that I wanted to use my gifts, whatever they are. We all have them: communication, talking with people, connecting with people, all those things that you need in theater. And I was looking for material that had the potential of lifting the soul and feeding the spirit. Well, golly gosh, where was I going to find that? I thought, and put up a big old quest, a big old prayer, a big old question to the universe because I didn't know what to do. It was not an easy period of time, but these really pivotal points of transition, they're not easy. They're packed, they're purposeful. And wouldn't you know, within about a week, I got a telephone call from some of my girlfriends saying that they were going to a women's council, that there was a native elder, a Seneca elder named Grandmother Twyla Nitch, that was having a council of women on her land. And did I want to go? Well, I didn't know anything about what that meant. A circle of women, a council of women. What does that mean? And I didn't know anything about an Indigenous perspective or connection. But I was a curious girl, and the price was right. And so we all decided to go up, and we did. I had no idea how moved I was going to be. I had no idea, Naven, the power of sitting in a circle of women with the goal of listening to each other, deeply listening to each other, and honoring that we all had a piece of wisdom that we all needed. And by being in that circle, we were weaving together all of the different threads of wisdom that we all came with at that time. So after that, I was fortunate to be able to live and study with grandmother Twyla for a while. And boy, it was pivotal. Whoa, it was a pivotal period of time. I learned three things from her that are very much a part of this full circle thing that we're talking about. One, one, have a relationship with the earth. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? But we live in a culture that does not have relationship with the earth. Second thing, she taught us her perspective on the history of the earth and the chapters of the earth and the eras that the earth herself moves through, just like you and I have passages in our life, just like my passage being in New York and not knowing if I could act or not. The earth has these pivotal passages. And Graham's language was that we were leaving the fourth world, or we were going to, the fourth world based on a theme of separation and control. And I know some of the other people that I'm lucky to call my friends have been talking about this with you as well, and that we were going to be moving into a time of the fifth world of unity and illumination. And in that, all of those things that became fragmented in the fourth world of separation, because separation is not true. The circle is connected, it's a whole. And so when it became fragmented, or our relationship became fragmented, so did we. And so did systems that we live in. So did systems of how we treat the earth and each other and women and people of color and people of different cultures or traditions. We have a little hierarchical list of who's okay and who's not, right? It's all separation and control. The third thing that I learned from Graham was how to use the circle as a kind of language. She would say it's earth language, and its messages bring clarity and wholeness. And this, speaking in a circle and using the circle as a principle of wholeness, because all things belong on the circle, is my passion. And it's just sort of infused everything I do, whether it's teaching an acting class or creating a seminar. It's using that circle so that we are whole and that we're connecting with the earth. Grandma Twyla said, whenever you use the circle, you're connecting with the earth. Okay, shall I keep going?
Well, I wanted to comment on when you were talking about your acting in New York and what you were finding in the traditional stories. This really interests me because I'm also interested in presenting different narratives. And, you know, it's interesting for creatives like us that want to do that, you know, through this shift, to find alternate means, because those stories aren't going to be picked up by the main, you know, systems that have been telling the old story. And so, you know, I think it's very interesting that we have to sometimes find alternative means of getting our art out there.
Right. I have to say, and this is the really good news, I think that might be changing. I think that might be shifting the palette of what the masses want and are hungry for. I think it's changing. From my perspective, the change is happening very swiftly right now. And there's a lot of things out there that are stimulating the change, that they're out there, they're outside of us, you know, like the pandemic. Perhaps for some people, some of the political stuff that's happening right now. And if you look at the political stuff that's happening right now, you can look through the lens of separation and control and get a really interesting viewpoint on that. But I think I've been thinking about the same question, Nathan. I've been thinking about the same question. So here's what this little noggin is coming up with, or or beyond this little noggin, because this little noggin, all of our little noggins are pretty limited. In the fourth world, that was it, baby. That was the game. But there's even a wholeness that is happening between head and heart, and our dream time, and our instincts, and our senses, and our sensation. So within all of those things that inform us, this is how I'm being informed right now. The key is to look at the word separation. Let me connect another dot in this full circle story. I recently took a class through the Pachamama Alliance, and they also work with some of the indigenous elders from the mouth of the Amazon River. And one of them, uh, Arkan Lashwala, is a Peruvian ceremonial leader. And what he said to us is this: we don't respond to life, we respond to the story of life. And that all of us have bought the story of separation. And we're all living in that story of separation. And then he said, it's time to write the new story. So for people like you and I, and some of the people who are listening, there's a lot of people like us. There's a lot of artists like us who consciously or unknown that this is a time of great change and they want to participate.
Mm-hmm.
So Graham taught me separation and control. And then again, just recently, it's time to create the new story. And as a theater person, that had real resonance and related back to the old story. So I think what we are going to find is that people consciously or are looking for a different kind of food right now. And the food is the story of connection and unity. And that's what we get to create. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that's really exciting, and I've had the same thought. I think of it like this: there's an old energy, a dying energy, and there might be a particular percentage of people that want to keep that energy going because that's what they're used to, and maybe they had power in that old system of power and control.
That's it.
But I see like creativity, imagination, having a vision and coming from a heart-centered place as really being the guiding new path. And so I think creatives, especially, I think all change starts with creativity, and those other things, imagination and vision, feed into creativity. And so I think that's really exciting. And I know for me, whenever I'm facing challenges or really down, creativity has always been the thing that saves me.
Yes,
And I feel like it can save all of us on a
that's
bigger
right.
scale. And you were talking about grandmother Twyla saying, talking about earth chapters. And I like that wording because again, we think of our stories and we think of maybe cultural stories, but we don't think of earth stories or chapters or even universal, like the universe
That's
has
right.
chapters and stories. So everything's moving. And I think that gives us a different perspective,
Hmm.
which I think is what you're addressing, when we just change our perspective a little bit.
Yeah, it is a real perspective giver. That was what happened to me when I first went to the reservation and studied with Graham, and that first Council of Women. It gave me all of a sudden all of the things that I saw, felt, experienced that were problems, that were wrong, how we were treating the earth, how we treat each other, et cetera, et cetera. All of a sudden I had a lens for it, separation and control. And it made a great deal of difference to me to have that perspective. It felt real and truthful, and it was something that I could hold on to and move forward with. Graham's word for it, by the way, was worlds, fourth world, worlds, or eras. I like chapter because you and I are both writers and
Mhm.
creators. So chapter has a different kind of significance for
Mhm.
us. Uh, I want to share one other thing with you that, and this is part of the culmination of the full circle. And it's my new project. It's one of my new projects. And it is a call to all artists, I don't care the medium, artists and all who want to explore and create the new story because we don't know what the new story is.
Mhm.
We know separation, but we don't know connection. We don't know unity. And what a wonderful thing to think about. What
Mhm.
would that look like? What would the world look like? What would a day look like? What would a day in my life look like? How would I feel? These are such potent and exciting questions. So I'm going to be offering a seminar. It's in the works right now, Naven. You're hearing about it here first. It is creating the new story, the depth of connection, the end of separation. Um, I think by fall, I'll probably offer the first course. The general sense of it that I have right now is that it'd be about 4 sessions with me so we can all be on the same page about what that is.
Mhm.
That, like Pachamama Alliance, there's not a fee, but donations are suggested and welcomed for whatever is right for a person. And that those donations, the majority of those donations will go into a fund. And then eventually, when there's enough in that form, in that fund, we will have a grant. And that grant will be given to BIPOC artists who are also creating the story of unity, connection, earth sustainability, regeneration, anything having to do with the earth, how we're treating her, how to care for her, how to become whole. You know what else, Naven? You know how you were just saying that there's just people who want to hold on to the control, and aren't we saying that, seeing that these days?
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. That is, it just doesn't want to die, does it? But the thing of it is that these stories in Earth's history, these chapters, as you have defined them, and moving into the chapter of unity and connection is going to win. So
Mhm.
for all those people that are sitting back working hard to hold on, go ahead, work hard to hold on. But it's not going to last because of the earth.
Yeah. Well, and I was also thinking when you were talking about what would a day, you were saying, what would it look like? Because we're creating the news story, we don't actually know exactly all the, I always look at story through the elements, character and dialogue and location and theme and, you know, plot points and subplots. So we don't know what all that looks like. We get to start creating that. And it made me think, what does our art start to look like from that point of view of, unity and connection? So that's another interesting thing to kind of play with. And, any artist in any medium, as you said, can play with that, journey, or journal, do a shamanic journey, meditate, paint, you know, make an earth collage with, you know, stuff from the earth. There are all different ways to explore that. And I think it's really exciting. And the program you're talking about doing in the fall, probably, for the artist and all, I think that's another way to give us that chance to start thinking about what is our art going to look like. Because I think everybody's an artist in some way,
That's right.
whatever,
That's right.
whatever
I
they
call it
do.
spirited art, artful living.
Hmm.
We're all creating we're all creative in lives,
Right.
even if it's figuring out what you're going to cook for dinner or have for dinner. So, I mean, creativity is just a part of it. Yeah,
Hmm.
I really appreciate that. There's so much to contemplate. And I want to add another thought. This movement at this point, I have a sense that it is being led by the earth. And for all of us who live on her, we need to make our peace with the unknown and allow this. I believe that we're being changed, Naven,
Hmm.
and that this change is both coming from our conscious choices, because haven't we been on a journey of healing and wholeness for a while?
Hmm.
We have, right? And I'll bet you most of the people that watch this can have understand that and have had a
Right.
relationship with that. So there's the consciousness part. That's me here. I want to participate. Us here, me, anyone saying me is their source of identity. I want to participate. I want to co-create. I want to participate in this. And on the other hand, there's the earth. And she's saying, okay, and I'm going to take you into the new because you don't know what it is. Come with me. I think that she is giving us an invitation right now. Um, I suggest to folks that ask that we pay attention to our dream time right now and senses, senses in the body, sensation, because we're also pretty disconnected from our physical essence,
Right.
instinct, impulses. I highly suggest rest. Right? It's the first thing out the window in the fourth world of separation and control, where in essence you become food for the system. I learned in Pachamama Alliance, food for the system. Stop being food for the system. Stop treating other people like they're food for the system. There is something about the rest. Okay, so I think that we're learning how to regenerate ourselves, just like we're learning systems of living on the earth that are regenerative to the earth. And that in this regeneration and space, the transformation that is being done to us can happen.
So, what is your suggestion? How might we handle while we're creating the new story? We're going to be still having, um, we're still going to be participating in the systems that have always been there. You might have to go to work every day. So you're going to have to maneuver through feeling one way and knowing that something's happening, and yet you're kind of maybe going back and forth between what was and what you hope will be.
I know exactly what you mean.
So that
Yeah.
could be a challenge. And so
Well,
I'm wondering what suggestions you have.
yes, it can be a challenge, but let me throw this challenge in that underneath that is separation, because we are still seeing a difference, a separation between us and that old world out there, and we know what it's like. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So here's one of right. It just there are lots of layers to this, but here's what I've started to do when I get upset about something or I'm not feeling okay, or I'm remembering something that happened to me once upon a time. In moments of clarity, you know those moments, Maven, when I'm blessed enough to have a moment of clarity, I ask myself, what does this have to do with the story of separation? And almost always there's an answer,
Hmm.
right? So maybe there's a system of separation out there, and I'm not going to play the separation game. Wow, what does that look like? Well, I don't know. But it's the consciousness that says, see, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the unity? Where's the place inside of me that is connected? Where is the point in me that's connecting with all those other people that I see as different than me? And those systems and those structures.
Well,
Right?
and as you pointed out, we were all raised in the old story, so it's not like we weren't all together in that. There was unity in that old story because we were all part of it.
Yes, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective, but yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
There was some kind of collective agreement. Now, one of the things that I see and I'm, beginning to talk to people and have, like you and I are chatting right now. So one of the things that people are discovering is that oftentimes in the world of separation, we felt victimized.
Mm-hmm.
Separation and control, and somebody else had the control. If you keep looking at the rippling effects, so I feel separated, somebody else has the control. I'm now feeling victimized because somebody else has the control. And then some of us, particularly women, were also told in one way or another, you're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not, we know the list. We know the list
Right.
at this point. So I think somehow we embodied being victimized. And then we embodied this idea that we're not enough. Oh, how heartbreaking, because the truth is we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are perfect, imperfect, and quite enough. Mary Poppins needed to have that on her measuring stick, right? Right? I am perfect, imperfect, and enough. That both of those things are a glory.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things together are wholeness.
Right.
Our
Right.
perfections and our imperfections. So these are some of the stories within ourselves that we can begin to shift and adapt. Am I feeling powerless right now? Is that person that I'm working for having all the control? Well, now how can I still be working for this person but not feel victimized?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where are some of the other places where I feel victimized? The horrible thing about not feeling enough, of course, is that it leads to shame and it just gobbles up our spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So where we can say to shame, you know what, not today. I'll come back tomorrow and visit you. And I'm talking about toxic shame, the stuff that eats us up, not the healthy kind of shame that makes us go, you know what, that didn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
I think I just did something not aligned with my moral code or not in line with the kind of person that I want to be. That's gold. That's
Mm-hmm.
the good stuff. I'm talking about the toxic stuff that says, not I made a mistake, but I am a mistake. The other day I was feeling crummy about something. I can't even remember what. And a little message in my voice came in and said, some of these responses that you have are just an old habit.
Mm-hmm.
So do you really want to feel down and crummy today? Is that it? Is that what you want to give your power to, or do you want to feel another way? And believe me, I'm not minimizing tough stuff that people feel. I'm not minimizing grief or depression or these very genuine things that we feel. But you know what? That particular day, I had choice. It was just a pattern. I didn't know, Naven. I didn't know, and I had this moment to say, oh, I think I'm going to be different today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be whole within myself today and not separate within myself.
Yeah, I like the way you say that, separate within yourself, because we're not just one thing, and all stories contain all those elements. You're going to go through all different types of emotions and feelings, And it's not about making those wrong. It's about, I think of it like using it, because if you're writing, as a writer, if you're writing a story, or I don't know that much about performing, but I'm assuming when you're performing, those different emotions and feelings, they're put to use in the story that, is about transforming, whether
Yes,
it's, something depending on the nature of the story, um, if it's internal, you put all those things to use. So they're not
that's
bad
yes,
things.
that's
They're
right.
just part of the story, and you
Just
can
part of the
use them.
story. Yes, I
Mhm.
like that. We're chucking judgment.
Yeah.
All of that self-judgment that affirms, oh, see, I'm not enough. Golly gosh. I think if all of us can just take a moment, more than a moment, but if all of us can heal that inner separation, that is one of the ways that we can participate in the new story.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's, a nice little new way for us to start thinking about the earth. I like how you say that the earth is guiding us to and
She is
influencing us.
leading the way.
Hmm.
She's putting out big time invitations to the party, and and I'm RSVPing, yes.
Well said. I like that.
Now, Nathan, speaking of transformation, my website is going through a huge change at this mid June point.
I really like your web. I think you have a really nice website.
Thank you. Right now, it's a little bit of the old and a little bit of the
Hmm.
new, and I'm also reshaping it to hold this quest into the new story.
Hmm.
Um, so I think by the end of July, it will be up to date. It might be a little confusing for people right now because it's the old and the new. Oh, how perfect is that?
Exactly.
This is what you were saying just a minute ago. We're becoming new, and there's still this old system. Yes, so my website is a perfect example of that. But is it okay with you if I give people my email address that they can contact me if they want?
Yeah, please do. I was just going to ask you. I do have your website posted under the video, but you can give that and give your email address, because it would be nice to get a group of us doing your program when it comes out.
I really look forward to that. Oh, how rich that would be. So people can reach me at Bando Beth, my name backwards, Bando Beth at Gmail. And the new website will be bandobeth.com. And yes, people, you're going to find Ella Beth Bando out there for a while. That's the old site. It's slowly but surely being transformed like we all are.
That's really exciting, and I hope that I'll be hopefully taking this journey with you, and I hope that some of our other listeners do as well, because it's really exciting. And I think so many of us would be looking forward to helping to create that new story. So I want to thank you so much for being here today, Beth. It was such a pleasure, and hopefully we can have you come back, maybe closer, when that kicks off, and we can
Oh,
talk
perfect.
about it again. And I want to remind everyone that they can leave a comment. The video will be posted on YouTube once it downloads. So if they didn't leave a comment now, but they're watching the video later, if you do, I'll make sure that Beth knows about the comments so she can respond. And then I want to remind everyone, kind of going along with our theme, Beth, next week, I have Wade F. Wilson um, coming on, and he is a writer and an actor and a very creative spirit. So I'm really looking forward to kind of continuing some of these
Awesome.
same ideas with him. So
I love it.
yeah,
Awesome.
hopefully
And
everyone
Nathan,
will join in.
I am so grateful for the connection, Nathan.
Well, I'm so glad we got to do this, and I look forward to us doing it again. And so I want to thank everyone who is listening tonight or anyone that listens later. And we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.